Good evening, students.
Good evening, sir.
Before we start, sir, we can move to the next slide.
Okay.
Let's have some ground rules, which I thought we'll set some ground rules before we starting. So, sir, we can just click. So, one is I want this process to be a two-way process. Want an active participation. So, like one is need to have probably responses from your end. At times, I will stop in between. I'll ask some questions wherein I would request someone from the team to read it out and give your view. So whenever you are chatting something, chat will not be like I will enable chat, but I would request someone from the team to read it out. So your responses whenever it should be in the chat box. So further next, yeah. So time probably like we thought we'll give a 1 hour's time. So we are starting at 5. We can extend it up to 6. And again, a request, since it's a COVID time when there are issues in coverage and all. Try to be in the coverage area, especially like some time back I was having a meeting and there were issues and it got disconnected. Fine. So move, sir. We can move further, sir. Next slide, please.
So this one, sir?
Next slide.
Next one. You can click on that.
Jagan sir, you can.
Sir, this one, sir?
Next
Further.
slide.
Next slide. Previous.
So one second. Previous.
Or should I do it from here?
Sir, if it is, I think network issue, something is there, sir.
Sorry?
Network issue. Sir, network, I think it's here some problem is there. It's running low.
Should I present it?
This one. Yes, sir. If it's possible, can you do it, sir? Sir, if I in the slide,
No, you have to go previously, sir.
This one?
You have to go previous. Yeah. The second slide.
this one?
This one, the slide number 3, yeah. The slide after that. Yeah, this one. Yeah, when you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But when you listen, you may learn something new. Can someone guess who has told this?
Students can
you
raise
type
your hands.
Response you can type your response in the chat box. Yeah, Dalai Lama. Good one. Was this? Sorry, I'm not able to read the name properly. Sir, the next slide, sir.
Sir, Dalai Lama. Bernard Shaw.
Can we move to the next slide, sir?
Yes, I moved, sir.
Yeah. So someone has guessed it rightly. It is Dalai Lama who has told. So, friends, when you are listening, you are learning. So I would urge every one of you to have an active listening so that you learn. So we will move to the next one. Yeah, the next question is what is running in your mind? Again, going to the chat box. Today, there's a situation. What is running in your mind? Can you just type what is it that's running in your mind? Anything that comes in your mind when you're sitting today in today's situation, what is it that comes? exhausted, COVID. What after COVID? Missing out the outside atmosphere. Very good. Eager to learn new things. Good. When will the college reopen? When will it end? Rule. Rule if COVID, yes. College reopening. How to manage uncertainty in life. Very good. How will get job in this situation? Very good. When will this COVID end? What about employment? Very good. Scenario after COVID and job opportunities. Very good. What at economy level after lockdown? Very good. COVID again. Economy after COVID. Vacancies. Is the vacancy possible to get? Yeah. Again, job opportunities. Very good. What will happen after lockdown to the economy? Today is your birthday. Kavi Priya, happy birthday to you. How recruitment going to be post-COVID? How is business opportunity? Exams going to be tough. When will gym reopen? Very good. Fine. Sir, we can move to the next slide. So, few things what I could guess from what I could make out from the responses that I got. First year students are more interested or more excited to know when the college will reopen. And second year students more worried about COVID, how the industry will be there, how the economy will be there after the COVID, and whether there will be job opportunities for us. So this is what broadly I could make out from the various responses that I got. Sir, can you just click on this one? So today's flow again is from the question which most of you people are asked. Are companies hiring? Next one is the hiring processes. We'll try to touch upon what is the hiring process in an industry. The employee cycle in company. How normally a companies will, what a normal employee cycle is. Expectations from companies. Basically what companies expect from the student. And what to do in present scenario. So this is what director sir was also telling me in the morning when I had a chat with him. So he was telling the discussion to be somewhat focused in this area. So I thought it's better that I will focus on this. So we'll move to the next slide. Anything else? If you want, probably you can add up. I'll try to cover in the question answer session. Fine. So this is how the today's flow will be. Sir, we can move to the next slide.
Sir,
Next slide, Jagan.
So you have to click on.
Sir, next.
You have to click on that. Yeah. So the first one is no, sir. The previous one. Yeah.
This one, sir. Hiring.
Fine. So no, the previous one is what I wanted.
Okay.
No, the next one. Just after this.
This one, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is the impact on COVID on hiring? So the few questions which came in sense, will company hire? So you have to click again. What are the types of industries and the impact? The third one is what are the opportunities that COVID has opened? So when we say COVID is like on one side, people there is a fear among us. People are worried about what will be my future after this. There are many talks and there are news saying that companies have stopped hiring. There are some lot of fear. Of course, no doubt there is casualties. So with among all these things, COVID has also brought in some positive thing, the opportunities for us to change. So we'll move to the next slide. So here I'll answer the question one by one. So the question, sir, we can move to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the first one is we talk about hiring. So hiring, as far as my knowledge, so again, let me clarify one thing. Whatever I'm trying to tell is based on the knowledge that I have, my experience, and whatever I have gained over a period of the recent news and the information that is there and there. And again, above all is the experience that I have. So again, it is not that hard and fast, but again, it's all based on the experience what I'm trying to tell. So my view on hiring will not be stopped. There will not be any issues to the hiring. Companies will start functioning. Company will continue to perform. Until the time company is performing, hiring will happen. The only thing that we find here is the companies, if you see post-COVID, as when the COVID came, in fact, we had one trainee in HR, Priya was there. And at that time, probably they will know when this, we have a very robust crisis management plan. Some time back, in fact, we had hired a consultancy, Maxwell. They are the global leaders in safety. So they, in fact, one of the trainer from Ireland came and he came and gave us training on the crisis, how a crisis should be managed. So we had a very robust crisis management plan and an emergency management plan, wherein various situations were there. It was all very well written. It was also documented in what will happen in which situation, who has to do what, the roles, responsibility, everything was defined. But when this pandemic came, a crisis, in fact, it was very helpful for us. We were able to do it. But I would like to tell you that if you see today's situation, most of the companies are today prepared. If you ask any type of company, let it be a small company, a medium scale company, or a large company, every company is now prepared and they have learned how to work during crisis. So they have detailed the crisis management plan, the SOPs, the policies and procedures. In fact, you would have seen some people have made of their own, some people have copied, or some people have tailor-made some of the plans which other companies have done. So here again, the focus with this COVID is more on the change in the operating model. So might be that some companies will go into slight change or a drastic change in the operating model in which they operate. There could be like managing costs will be a concern for future because of the lockdown. I'm sure that all the companies would have got a setback, financial setback. So their managing cost is one of the concern as on date. Again, if you see with the COVID, the opportunities that have come is the focus on safety and medical management, which almost all the companies have done. So if you see most of the companies, they started taking declarations, self-declaration from the members. They started taking, they in fact have a tie-up with the hospital where they have on-call medical response team. People have started communication with the family members. Companies have gone for insurance. Of course, there are other related things. There are, if you see some people, some other companies have gone with a longer shift. Some companies are forced to run with a skeleton manpower. But if you ask what impact this will have on hiring, hiring will remain the same. The only thing is that the pace and the method might undergo some change. Pace in sense that could be during this lockdown, during this period, like they will focus on what are the critical vacancies they have. So they will focus on critical vacancies now, and the other vacancies they will try to do it on a later date. The second thing what companies will focus on is the methodology. When we talk about methodology, something different from the earlier model where we used to have one-to-one direct interviews, face-to-face interviews. The company might go for using of the digital technology as something similar to uh, a call like what we are having, or using any other media. So it will be more of a virtual interview where people will try to uh, have most of the discussion over virtual platform, and only after the medical we will have the persons joining in. So the next thing what I would like to inform or to tell is, in fact, there was a survey and I happened to go through it, and I also happened to attend a webinar wherein the companies have done extensive research, and they are told most of the companies have honored the offer. So wherever an offer was made to a person, in fact, everyone has honored the commitment. No one has gone back on the commitment. No one has said like, because of COVID, sorry, we are not taking a person. Most of them have honored the commitment, and there is no rollback on that. So now let me give you an example of ours. So last week we have onboarded the management trainees. So we normally have a tie-up with the tier 1 or tier 2 management schools, wherein they come and we take persons directly from them. So the management trainee batch, which was supposed to join, has joined last week. The joining was a virtual onboarding. So we have honored the commitment. Everyone joined through Teams. Their induction happened on that. The onboarding happened in this, and now they are a part of the process. The training process is going on. The onboarding is in process now. So it's all through the virtual platform. Again, the next third focus will be on increase in use of technology and new ways of hiring. So till now, more it was emphasized on, like, even when we talk about the hiring is one form of hiring is through campus. The other form is where you required persons with experience and all. So it is more of a face-to-face interview. So where we used to have 2 or 3 rounds of face-to-face interview. Going forward, it will be more of a using technologies, and could be like a different new ways. Like companies are working on different ways how to identify the new persons. In fact, some new like I happen to speak to some of a friend of mine who are into now consultancy. So they say like it's a good time for them, where some of the companies are like are using this as a this time to identify resources and keep them for the future. Again, I have covered up on the virtual onboarding. So onboarding process, which is now coming in my subsequent slide. So virtual, will most probably go for a virtual onboarding. So virtual onboarding is, in sense, the person will be like most of the companies are using Microsoft Teams. After Zoom came into some criticism about the safety issues and all. So people are using Microsoft Teams, most of the companies. So the person was joined through Microsoft Teams. He was inducted through Teams. All his onboarding process either is through Teams or some like initial. We have online package where a person is inducted online, where he gets information about the company, the policies, the procedures, everything is taken through a virtual platform. We have a virtual learning platform, so wherein members are taken through. The onboarding also happened through virtual platform. So we also have experienced candidate who are joined. So all of them were inducted virtually. Yeah, next slide, sir.
1 second, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So again, if you talk about what is the impact that has on industries, it had both. So there is one slide prior to this, I understand. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Next one. Sir, next slide, sir.
Sir, this is the next slide, sir. After that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as I said, it has given us a lot of new opportunities. If you ask with regard to Marico, Marico was into the one segment was food, one segment was the coconut oil segment. We had a male grooming segment and foods and new products. NPD we used to call as new product development. So these are the four products, four main areas where we used to concentrate on that. So with a new thing, whether with a COVID coming in, we felt that there is a need to be agile. We need to meet what the company, what the market today is demanding. So I'm happy to inform you all that Marico has come up with its own brand of sanitizer called Medicare. Everyone would have heard the Medicare. Medicare, there's a shampoo called Medicare, which is normally used for this place. So now Marico has come up with its own Medicare hand sanitizer. So it has given an opportunity in coming days. Similarly, industries will have their own new opportunities coming up. There will be greater opportunities for the uh, again pharma industry. There will be good opportunities coming up. If you talk about the with the social distancing norm, we are seeing lot many small industries are coming up with small different innovative products like using hand sanitizer without touching it. So pedal based hand sanitizers are coming. There are masks, like there was a big need of mask. It surged like anything and the cost gone up like anything. So this is on a temporary thing. But if you talk about the long run, studies have revealed that with the coming of COVID, there will be more insisting, there will be more concentration on sanitization, healthcare, personal hygiene, and these industries will have opportunities to grow. Similar thing will be for digitalization, wherein the use of artificial intelligence will be increased now. So if we talk about industries which are going to get benefited, so as I said, like healthcare, sanitation and personal hygiene, pharma, insurance, digital products, data science, artificial intelligence based companies, and gig economy. You know what is gig economy? So to give an example of gig economy is like Uber and Ola, where there is no investment of the person is not investing directly. In fact, they are trying to use what is the services of others and trying to work on that. So like Ola is an example where there is no, they, they have no investment, direct investment of their own. So gig economy will flourish during this period. Similarly, if you talk about the industries that are going to impact it, some of the sectors which will get impacted is no doubt the tourism. Again, it is for a shorter duration, but at least for next few months to a year, tourism will get impacted. Hospitality, where will get an impact, adverse effect. Entertainment, the theaters and other thing will have an impact. Local transportation, restaurants, hotels, real estates. These are the industries which are going to get affected. So next, in this situation, what is required? If you ask, two things that is required from an industry, from any person is, one is agility and resilience. So that is the need of our, so those companies who are agile, who are able to come back from any sort of setbacks, who are resilient, will be able to survive. Can we move further? Yeah, sir, to click further. So what will happen in that? There will be more of a digitalization. If you ask, we were not using Google Teams. The moment it came, we started using digitalization. Now companies are talking of different ways. In fact, we were trying to work out with some external agencies to check on how to use artificial intelligence to ensure that social distancing is maintained. So if you see, a company has got CCTV coverage. So when you have CCTV coverage, so there are smart uh, artificial intelligence based programs wherein the system itself will try to identify whether social distancing is not maintained and it will throw up alarm. Similarly, use of digital platform everywhere. Like we used to have frequent communication with our team. So the communication earlier we used to have something called as daily shift meetings, daily meetings of the managers. There were weekly meetings happening. There were monthly communication meeting we used to call as MCMs. We used to have monthly review meetings, or there were a lot of travels also. People used to travel for trainings. So all that is now cut down. So all that is now converted into digitalization. So that one of the impact will be people will move more towards digitalization. Second thing is change in ways of working. With the COVID coming in, so there will be change in different ways of working. People will social distancing will become a norm now. People will have to adhere to social distancing. People will not be like try to again traveling in the same vehicle, or there will be some restrictions with regard to number of people who are traveling in the vehicle. So that over a period of time will change the way of working. Probably the way we were working earlier will change a lot. We will have to work with a comparatively lean structure than what was earlier. The third thing is there will be change in the people processes. So for example, engagement. Earlier, there were engagement. When we talk about engagement initiatives in a company will have lots of informal gatherings, lot of informal parties, get-togethers. There'll be meetings. So all as I said, trainings. All this will become digitalized. So the people processes, the methods will get changed. Above all, the last one, which will have an impact, is managing cost. With this lockdown and its impact, managing cost also is one of the biggest impact. So we can move to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
So friends, the reason why I was mentioning about the type of industries and all is, you can just correlate yourself with what I said earlier. The industries which are going to, like if you see, those who are trying to, like the opportunities that we have, most of us will go look for either a sort of a manufacturing industries or IT sector or any other sector. The industries, I don't think such a manufacturing sector is going to have a very this thing. While there is setback, the question, this was to answer the question like whether I will have opportunity further, whether there will be opportunities for me in future, whether recruitment will be there. Because the question which most of the people ask is like whether I will have opportunities. In fact, many of the persons were asking whether I will get enough opportunities. Opportunities are there. If you see, industries which are going to get affected is, one is tourism, entertainment, local transport, restaurants, hotels, real estates. And I don't think after doing MBA we are going to get into that. Surely one area which will get affected last on a larger side is hospitality industries, where yes, big hotels, but they will try to again find out different ways to come out of it. Yeah. So coming to what would change your life from campus to corporate. Sir, you have to click further.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So if you ask, what is going to change in your life? Today you are in campus, many persons were asking, when will my second year start? Someone asked like when this session will get this, my academic year will get over. So, but understand one thing, life is not going to change. Life will more or less remain the same. Challenges will be there for us throughout the life. If I'll just try to compare two things, one is your life as on date and how it will be after. Like, the reason why I'm trying to tell is that there are many apprehension. Many people feel, oh, once this is done, my life is over here. Once I finish my MBA, I'll get a job, and then it's something I can enjoy my life. But it is a bit different. I'll tell you, life will remain more or less the same. I'll try to compare what is there present and what will be there in future. So in college, you will have your friends. When you go to any manufacturing industry, you will have your teammates or colleagues. You will have mentors, so you need to click further. So when you talk about mentors, in college, you have your principal, you have your tutor, you have your professors who act as mentors for you. The same thing when you go to an organization, you will have your team, senior members in your team who will be mentoring you. Your department heads will be there. We call them as the supervisors and the grand supervisors. So they will be mentoring you, and each stage they will be there with you. Again, the next thing is exams. Many persons are asking like when our exams will be. Fine. So exams, you will have exams in colleges, you will have appraisal in an industry. So like every year, like what you have exams, there is appraisal in an industry. So life is a never-ending journey. So this was to connect with my previous thing. You need to be agile and you should be resilient. So in cases like when the situation of COVID, where you people feel like I'm not able to go out of my home and what should I do? You should be agile. I'll come to that in the subsequent slide, what you should do on that. So this was to tell like life will not change. Fine. So we can move to the next one.
Yes, sir.
So a small thought, I thought I'll also take you through what is a hiring process in an industry. So what happens is, and every industry have uh, a job requirement coming up. So requirement could be, it could be a new position or it could be a position that has become vacant because a person decided to move out of the organization and join somewhere else or do something. So there is a job requirement which is understand where based on this requirement JDs are formed. So there are job description for each position. So once that is done, we find out like who would be the better candidate. So job description normally tells about what type of person is required. For example, like a person doing an accounts role, you need to have either MBA in finance or a CA or similarly. Fine. So for various kind of role, what exactly is the requirement? What is the educational background the person should have? What gender he should be? In fact, gender diversity is a new thing where gender is not a major concern, but somewhere at some places where people are coming in shift-based role and all, gender is slightly considered. Otherwise, it talks about the role holder, what should be his experience, what should be his, which domain he should concentrate more on, what should be his area of specialization. So with that, the next step is to shortlist. Probably we take various, based on that, we give our requirement to the consultants, we go to various portals and different forms, and we get the resumes. So once we get the resumes, the candidates are shortlisted. Then there is a process of interview, selection happens. Again, then the negotiation, final placement, and then induction. So this is a broad understanding. You would have studied that in the HR paper. So I just thought I will refresh about the hiring process that happens in any industry. So we can move to the next slide.
Yes, sir. Sir, move to
So
the next.
I had divided the thing since it was more for a freshers. So I have put the three important processes that will happen for a person. So number one is selection. So if you talk about any industry, so the selection process would in fact require one would be like there'll be a psychometric test, there'll be some aptitude test. Aptitude will also have some sort of technical screening initially. So this is common across most of the industries. So since I have more exposure in manufacturing setup, so I'm giving with reference to that. I'm sure that other industries also have the same processes. So the selection processes initially will be like they will try to have an aptitude test for you. They will also try to have a psychometric test for the person to find out how well the person will gel into the group. And then there'll be a sort of interview earlier was face to face. Now also there is possibility and could be like, as I was telling earlier, could be a virtual platform. So once that is done, the next step is onboarding. So sir, you need to click further on that, I think. Can you just click once? Yeah, so yeah, the onboarding and followed by deployment. Fine. So let's talk more about in onboarding company. What happens is like you're actually inducted to the new team members who are you are onboarded to. You are told how the company is, and you are given more information. You are actually onboarded to the new culture, the values of the organization, and you become a team member. And then is the deployment, where after a period of say 6 months, after a period of 9 months to a year, where after evaluation and all, the company feels that yes, you are fully as a part of the member, and then based on the performance, the candidate is now is confirmed, and then he becomes a part of the member of the team. So that is what the process is, deployment. So now let's look at what companies look at. So companies normally look at an ideal candidate. So let me ask, like, who, the question comes like, who is an ideal candidate? The person who is suiting the job requirement. So as I was telling, the requirements changes. So for example, in a same company, if I had to take a person, for example, like I'll, for your better understanding, we interviewed few students from your college. So when we saw them, we had a requirement in our dispatch section. In fact, we were trying to, initially when we were mentioning, we were talking about the member performing well. So the requirement was mainly for a person who can do the logistics job. So that's where Ravi came in. So it doesn't mean like when Ravi got selected and others didn't get selected, doesn't mean that others are inferior and Ravi is superior, Ravi is not good and all. But what happens is that every company has a requirement. As I was telling earlier, in the recruitment process, so we normally try to look who is the person who will better fit for the job. So right person for the right job. The next thing that we normally look at is who is whether the person will be able to stay for a reasonable period of time, whether he will be suitable to our culture. The other thing we look at is the competencies the person is having. So normally what happens is in an interview person, in a process, we normally ask person, like, can you just explain something about what you have done differently during your college time? So many people feel shy, they don't tell. Or some people give some examples. Like, for example, I'll give you a practical example. So in some of the interviews I asked, like, can you just share some example of what do you do during when you are free? So the person says, I go and sit I go to my house. Then we ask, like, what did you do during that? People say, no, I simply sit inside, I don't go out. So when you talk about a person of that kind, it talks about the personality of a person. I'll give another example, like where we ask about a person, when we ask the family background of a person and the person says he's coming from a comparatively, the family background is not so strong. Then we ask him how he went about, and the candidate says that he went for some part-time job. He did something extra during the college time to take care of his own expenses. So that talks about the candidate. So such, like, if what I would suggest is, like, when you go for an interview or any person comes in any interview, you should be very open. You should tell about what you have done, what your family, probably, like, you should be open about what all you have done, because again, uh, in the process. So if you go to the, sir, we can move to the next slide also. So what happens is, uh, in the interview, there is a process called funneling process. The funneling process is like where a person asks a question, and then they ask how, what you have done, when you have done, and they will ask further questions on that. So then after asking what, why, how and all for one or two levels, so we can come to the interview, or even any person, you can also try and check in your real life. If you want to check with any person, you ask what, why, how and all 3 or 4 times. You will be able to understand whether the person is bluffing or he's telling the truth. So what I wanted to give an input to the students is, whenever you go for an interview, be candid and tell openly what all you have done. Fine. So next is what is expected in an interview. So the thing is, one is the first impression. You know, there's a saying, first impression is the best impression. So whenever you go, so what we can do to create first impression, one is, no doubt, the dressing should be good wherever possible. It should be in a, should try to go in a formals. You should be punctual. There are, I've seen some people, some candidates coming with some certificates, but again, certificates, they search for it. So if it is put better, it's better if it is put in a proper folder. So what happens is, it gives the impression about a person, that whether this person is organized or not. It talks about the punctuality of a person. So in a period of, see, if you look into the any interview process normally runs for a period of 15 minutes to max an hour. So in that 1 hour period, the interviewer tries to judge the person based on the questions. So if you give a very good impression at the beginning itself, again, it will have a long lasting effect. Second is during the interview process. As I was telling, during the interview process, you should be candid. If you have any doubts, there is nothing wrong in asking doubt in a polite manner. So can you explain further on that? Sir, I am not clear. Can you help me out on this? So if you ask, what happens is that if you take that to the real life, suppose you get a job, and a person, if he is asking a doubt, sir, I am not clear, can you explain it? And if a person is assigned a job without asking what the job is, he goes and say yes, he will not be able to perform. Probably he will perform, could be wrong, or he will simply sit there and he will have lots of doubt. So if we find a person who is asking doubts, clarifying, that is also taken in a positive manner. Right? The next one is the skills the person is having. So we know what all the skills, and also I'm not going deep into that. The other one, as I was trying to tell, is be very candid about it. So what happens is, like, a person in an interview will try to ask you about what are your hobbies, what are your interests, and probably what one can do is that you can make a list of these questions and try to answer it, and then say what based on that question further is asking. For example, MBA students, once they complete the MBA and go, the question what can come is like, can you tell something more about the project that you have done? And the person gives an answer about, I had done a project in some area. Then he will ask, okay, can you tell how you went about in the project? He will ask, what are the hurdles that you have faced? So this actually, the interview on the other side is trying to correlate your ability to solve problem, your ability to collaborate with people, your ability to communicate with others, how good you are as a team player. So be candid, at times I have seen many people know many things, but they don't tell. Again, with regard to the skills, the hard skills and the soft skills. Mainly, we talk about the hard skills are the technical skills, certifications, the functional, what are areas in which you are doing. So I have seen many times when we ask basic question to a person, especially I'm giving an example of the freshers. So when we ask some freshers the basic question, they are not able to answer. Probably some people I have seen even say, "Sir, I have not heard of it." So during this COVID period, what I would suggest is that everyone should try to brush up what all you have completed in last 2 semesters, probably last 2 years. So for the second years and for the first years also, the previous semester, whatever you've done, so that you get a hold of what is there. At least you will learn something. Sir, we can move to the next one. What normally companies look at is a person who is flexible, who is agile, a person who is good team player, who can resolve conflict, who is able to have innovative ideas, who is able to influence others. So these are the things which a person will, in an interview, and any organization will look at. So when you go for an any interview, or probably during this time, what we can do is that you can try to work out on this. You can try to, if you're not having skills on these things, probably you can try to study. Probably what you can do is that read some article on that, so you can gain some more knowledge. Probably if you talk about the conflict resolution, or there are books on how to influence other. So these things will help you out for your for completing your next session. Probably once the COVID is over and you go for an interview, this will be very handy for you. So now I think I am coming to the last slide. What should we do during COVID? I already covered some other things. The first thing that I would say is that stay indoors, stay safe, improve your technical knowledge, because what happens is that many persons in an interview, we see they are not very good in technical knowledge. Might be they have covered it, they would have scored good marks, but there's a human tendency to forget. So, and covering all that stuff in a day's time would be a bit difficult. Normally companies give a very short time, and going forward when we have more of a technology and the digital based thing, could be like we get a lesser time if the person is free, interview is free, and the interview is free, where you need not travel. So it could be a virtual interview. So we can say probably, can we connect in another half an hour? The time to prepare on that. So one is improve your technical skill, your soft skill, in sense your communication things. So there are a lot of learning channel, online learning channel. What I would suggest is acquire new skills, learn new things. There are Harvard Business Review is there. There are a lot of journals which are there are also some free journals. So probably I know it would be difficult to get all this paid channel, but at least go through the free online stuff which is available and equip yourself. I think with that I come to the session, end of my session. I'll move to the next one, which is question answers. So over to you.
Joseph, there is a question already in chat. Yeah, student from final year MBA has asked, Ajit, countries like India will use hand sanitizers and masks for a long lasting.
Sorry.
There is a question from Ajit, second year MBA.
Okay.
Countries like India will use hand sanitizers and masks for longer lasting.
Yes, Ajit. Yeah, surely it is going to be like probably what I would suggest is there is a theory called black swan theory. What you can do is that probably you can read it afterwards. There's something called as black swan theory. So this theory talks about this occurs over after in a long duration, where in years, but has a long lasting effect. So this theory says that whenever such thing happen, it has a long lasting effect on the industry and the practices stay for a longer time. And I'm sure with this COVID coming in, till the time, I think, yeah, my video is on.
Yes, sir. Your video is on.
So what happens is that this will become a way of life going forward, with the COVID coming in, the loss, even in countries like India, this will become a, because if you look into what is habits, so when you start continuously doing certain things over a period of time, that becomes your habit. So if you see, I'm sure that every one of you might be going out for something, everyone is using mask, and if you start using it on a daily basis, you continue it for a period of 6 months or so, people will become used to it, and this will be a way of life. Hand sanitizer and mask and all is going to be, there are enough studies and reports which says that again for the coming next 2 to 3 years this will become, and over a period of time this will become a consumer preference where the uh, way of life itself, it will become a part of our routine life.
And sir, sir, this is Ajit sir, and have one more question, sir.
Yeah, Ajit.
Yeah, sir. Sir, after this pandemic, so people used to work in home, sir, right? Sir, my question is, so in future, this will be retained the same in every industry. I'm not saying manufacturing; it's completely different from service sector. So the sector like IT and all. For example, TCS have informed that after this COVID also we will have the employees work from home. This pattern will keep on continuing in all sector, or else it will be just for the few years or few years, sir.
Ajit, understand, it's a very good question, a good thing to think on this. But see, manufacturing, as far as you rightly said, manufacturing sector is a sector where you have no option. The person has to be physically there to produce something. So
Yes.
there is no choice. In other place, if you see earlier in my slides, what I was trying to tell, what are the opportunities that the companies are looking for? It has opened up a new thought process, a new opportunity for everyone to reduce the cost, optimize the cost.
Yes,
So
sir.
companies have not said that we will reduce the number of persons. They said they are going to change the way of life.
Yes,
Instead
yes,
of working in office, they will have a setup where the persons will have required infrastructure and they will work from home.
Okay, sir. And sir, sir, in HR sector, sir, people those who are doing MBA in HR field, in future they have a huge opportunity. Whether they have a huge opportunity in HR side, because after this COVID, people, those who are in industry should looking for an betterment of human in every industries. So this will make any changes in HR process or interview process.
Ajit, HR is required. See, if you ask any organization, it is like organization. If you compare that with a human body, each and every
Yes, sir.
department is important and has its own role. So HR will continue
Yes,
to
sir.
be there. The only change will be the roles, probably the focus area. So as such,
Yes,
HR
yes.
normally is, the role of HR is to focus on the business. So now persons are called as HR business partners. So wherein they are focusing more on the business. So
Okay.
post COVID, the emphasis will be more on the new digital ways. Could be like when we talk about recruitment. So
Yes, sir. Yes.
how the recruitment will happen more. So like comparing olden days where it was like people used to give interviews, they were hiring was where only through consultants and all. Then came automation and all. Now LinkedIn was one of the major uh, area through which persons were recruited and all. So now there will be different newer methods of uh, recruiting, but the job will remain the same.
Sir,
Similarly, you
yes,
talk about anything. You talk about an engagement. You talk about training, the talent development. So now there will be different new models. Could be AI supported, artificial intelligence supported models where the training needs will be identified. The career
okay, sir.
development plan of an individual will be made in a using better technology. And similarly, like the trainings will be more of a virtual trainings instead of a face-to-face training. So all that, it will be more of an online. So we have a online portal. We have tie up with Edcast. Edcast
Okay.
is one of the agencies, #1, who are into the digital training platform. So wherein we have also a tie up with various uh, agencies like Coursera, Harvard Business Review, and all. So a lot of learning platform is available there. So where employee at his convenience can log into that. He can at any time, any place, he can log in. That is available in mobile. It is available in laptop, and
Okay.
a person there are login credentials, of course. So they log into that and they can do the course as per his convenience, as per his own time, as per his understanding. So that will be the future.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Joseph, there are some questions in chat. Can I read it?
Yeah, please read it.
Yeah, just a second. How the manufacturing industry comes under digitalization? Question from Vishnu, first year MBA.
So manufacturing industry, if you look into that, digitalization, I will give you an example of automation and digitalization, what we have already done. Okay. For example, there is a process, our industry is, we actually make the coconut oil, and the raw material is dry coconut, which comes in trucks. So one of the process we had is the copra, which is we call the dried coconut as copra. So this copra comes in trucks. So this trucks, and it was coming in bags. So we used to deploy a lot of manpower to, one is to do the quality check of it, and once the quality check is done and if it is approved, it goes to the another section where the bags are, there are laborers who will remove the copra from the bag, unload it bag by bag. It was taking a lot of labor, it was taking a lot of time, it was time consuming, laborious job, and of course, no doubt, cost. So we have come up with a new methodology, a new digital, in fact, wherein what we have done is that we have come up with a process where the truck which is coming, the copra is coming in loose load rather than coming in bags. So this load, the loose copra which comes, probably once things are normal, uh, we can have a plant round where I will show you in person, you can see how that happens. So this copra, the truck itself is lifted using a hydraulic thing, where the copra is unloaded automatically. And the sampling, there is again, it is done in such a manner that the sample from this load is taken in a frequency of every 30 seconds. So again, we get a random mixed sample. So the process is much better than what was earlier. It is easy, less time consuming. So these, like this is one example. So like that, we have installed SCADA, and the whole process, if you see the manufacturing process for us, we require only at any point of time to run the factory, we require only 4 persons who can sit in an AC room and they can control the whole plant. This comparing our earlier plants, like we also have some plants where we had somewhere around 30 to 40 persons who are doing various processes. So these are the examples of automation and digitalization. So this is one area on direct manufacturing. The other processes could be like the sampling process, the analysis of the sample, again the other digitalization more into the areas like the supply chain management, where the planning is done, how the truck has to be managed. Again, it has scope in all the areas, no doubt, commercial, HR, and all we already talked about.
There is another question from Darshini, second year MBA. So, what about banking sector after COVID?
Yeah, I saw that. Darshini, sorry, I am not the competent person to tell about it. I will not be able to answer this because I am not a competent person.
Good evening, sir. This is Vignesh from second year.
Yeah, good evening, Vignesh.
I hope, sir, you can remember me that I came for a summer internship in the month of June month.
Yeah,
our plant
I know. Probably once I see your photo, I'll think. I remember I heard the word. Yeah, Vignesh. You have any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, please.
Sir, as news are coming up, many of the business which are operating in China are going to move to India.
Yeah, okay. I can see you now.
Yes, sir.
I can recognize.
As we all know that China is known for low-cost manufacturing products.
Yeah. Continue.
Yes, sir. After that, if those companies move to India, is it possible to achieve that low-cost operating cost? What's your view about this, sir?
No doubt, India has got all this potential.
Fine, sir.
In fact, to answer this, no doubt, India has all the potential to do something to handle such cases. If you ask me, my earlier association was with a company called Saint Gobain. You would have heard of it.
Yes, sir. I heard.
Saint Gobain, we had a plant initially in the refractory division. So you also have a plant at E-Road where the refractory division is there. So, like at one point of time, there was a choice whether should we go to China or to India. So it's a French MNC. So at that point of time, the management decided after evaluating, they said like better to go with India because one was the as you said rightly said quality was one of the concern, and India no doubt was able to meet the expectation, and it is doing well. And then only there was a second plant which came up in Palakkad, and then this Perundurai plant. So I'm sure I feel that it will happen, and India can respond to that.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you so much for your response, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Joseph.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, myself Kaushika from second year, sir.
Yeah, Kaushika.
Sir, my question is related to a basic interview question, sir. Many of the candidates usually face this question that tell me about yourself. This is the question faced by most of the candidates in an interview. So the answer might be in of two ways. Whether the candidate can explain their academic profile and their certifications and what are all the things included in their resume, or except that they can explain about their profile, like their character, what they like, what they don't like. My question is, what is the exact thing the candidate need to tell to impress the HR? Because if a candidate answer like all the academic details about that, HR can say that I am aware of all this because it has included in the resume. If in case he answer about his personal profile, the HR may answer like I don't want your personal, like that. So is it what to say, sir? Is it based on HR preference, or is there any constant answer for this question?
Right, Kaushika. See, there are two school of thoughts in this. Okay, one is some people, if you see some of the organization, what they do is like I'll take some more time to explain it in detail. See, if you look into recruitment, is actually a cost. So wherein recruitment, if you see there are persons like you're talking about HR, so there also will be some technical person. So there are again 2-3 rounds of interview. So just compare the salary of a person, a day's salary, and then try to divide it on an hour basis. Say a person spends 1 hour for that interview, and try to take the cost of it. The cost is a huge cost. So some companies, if there is one school of thought which says that you should not directly ask this question on tell me something about yourself at the beginning. Instead, you should try to explain what the role is up to the person, wherein what is it that you're requiring from the person. You should explain the role, because there are possibilities when you explain the role to a person, the candidate might say that I'm not interested, sorry, I'm not interested in this, and there ends the story. But on the other side, like, and there are further again, if we also like it says that first you should explain to the person about what the role is, and if the candidate is okay on that, you try to evaluate the person. Because if you see some of the interviews, like what we do is that after getting the CV, if we do some sort of screening there, and then we give a psychometric test of a person, and we have a profile with us before we meet the candidate. So we have more or less an idea about what the person is. The second thing is that, as you rightly identified it very rightly, HR also should go through the resume first before meeting a candidate. So what happens is that then you actually are not wasting the time. Why companies ask to tell about yourself is like, one is, as I was telling, is they wanted to know about what type of person is. One is apart from the communication skill, which they would have tested in asking your technical questions and all. So the right way to answer is like when you talk about things, so you have to give a very small, because I've seen some candidates saying that when they explain about the family, they say, my father, they tell the father's name and then they tell the mother's name. So where instead you can say, I am coming from a family where my father is a farmer, my mother is a housewife, I have one sister or one brother who is younger or elder to me, he's studying or he's working. And then immediately you should tell about where you did your schooling. So that is important. So a person who is able to speak very well English or able to do very well and has not studied in an English medium school, you can always say how that tells about the learning skill of an employee, of the candidate, how good he is in learning. Again, coming further, like the marks that you have scored, you can tell about where you did your college, your graduation, post-graduation and all. And the reason why the interests and hobbies are asked is like they are trying to find out which type of person you are, whether you will be able to, because every its own culture, and they would like to look for a person, because there is no standard answer for it. But the company, what they will try to look at is whether you are suitable for that type of culture. Whether after taking a person, it should not happen, the company should not regret that this person is not a culture fit. Because if the person is not fitting the culture, no, he will be the odd man out, and probably one is he will not, when a person is not comfortable, he'll try to move out after a period of time. And as I was telling in the beginning, every recruitment is a cost, so it's a waste of cost for everyone, time for everyone. So that's why to answer it, there is no standard answer for it, but surely you can have one liner about yourself saying that what is your family background. That tells like how you have the struggles that you have done to come up in life. That comparing with a person who did not have that struggle, you can tell about the schooling where you studied. That will also give some idea about yourself. Then when you talk about it, you can say what all you have done, your interest, your hobbies, what are the achievements that you have done. See, for example, while studying or in college, I was this secretary, I was this. So that also talks about the leadership quality you are able, how well you are able to collaborate with the team. So all these things have a long lasting. That also, like if you're in a position to organize certain things, say I organize some seminars, I organize these. So there are a lot of issues in that. So that talks about like how you are able to resolve a conflict in a situation. So that gives a lot of insight about a person. So it's better to tell all that, but it should be short and it should not take too much of time.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome. Please be a bit audible, eh?
Sir, hi sir, I am Vishnu from first MBA.
Vishnu, you are still not audible. Please come near to the mic.
Hello, sir. I am Vishnu from first MBA.
Yeah, Vishnu.
I had a doubt. I put up in my chat box. You explain me.
Mani, can you read out if he has put in the chat box?
Sir, you explain me. You noted and explain me, but I had another doubt in that.
Okay.
Sir, you say less number of workers be allowed in the factory for the production. It will reduce the production level, I think so, sir.
Sorry, lesser number of?
Less number of workers be permitted to work in the factory.
Yeah.
The production will be reduced. How will manage it, sir? It is my doubt.
Can someone repeat the question what you said?
Vishnu, sorry to interrupt. Actually, there is some problem with your mic or your network. We are unable to hear you properly. If you have written your question in chat box, I can read it out.
Hello,
Or
sir.
you can.
Hello, sir.
Or someone
Can I
from the
repeat
team
his
can
question,
unmute
sir?
and tell, no?
Okay, sir.
This is Stephen.
Yes, sir. You can repeat the question, sir.
Can I repeat the question of Vishnu, sir?
Yeah, surely, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, what he is asking is that in modern times, you implement automation and in manufacturing process. For example, 4 of the workers sitting in an AC cabin can monitor the entire process of manufacturing in Marico. But earlier, it is required that 30 to 40 persons will overview the manufacturing process. What question Vishnu is asking is that if 4 persons are monitoring the manufacturing process, there is a reduction in workforce. That's what he's asking, sir. That's the question.
Yeah. Surely, automation will have a reduction in manpower, but there are other lot of advantages. One is automation gives there is a quick. You have a speedily delivery of it. There is a cost angle attached to it. The efficiency increases. So, considering all that, any company for its survival to stay over a longer period of time would look for automation.
So next question. Next question.
Joseph, there are some questions in chat box. I'll read it out. So
Yeah.
The next question is: would gig economy help individuals in a long-term career given temporary freelancing job scenario? Question from Archana Ilango.
I also have some issues here. Can you repeat the question?
The question is related to gig economy. Helps individual in long-term career given in a temporary freelancing job scenario. Will the gig economy helps an individual to frame or design their career, long-term career plan?
Surely it will have here. Now the order of day, like if you ask what is happening and which is going to come for future is low investment and have the business. So this is what is going to happen. This is what now everyone will try to focus in future. So gig economy is the future for everyone, wherein as you have seen some of the Ola, Uber and all this, they have come and they have been successful. Like that, there will be a lot of similar things coming up in that. So that is what is the going future for everyone.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Good evening. So this is Archana Ilango.
Good evening.
So I just wanted to direct that question towards given the scenario of good gig economy, would you prefer a candidate who has no work experience in corporate but has freelancing experience? So would that serve as a basis to assess whether that is a proper quality candidate for the company?
Sorry, you're Lakshmi, no?
She's Archana Ilango, sir.
Archana,
Ilango, sir.
Archana, sorry.
Yeah.
Fine. So, as I was telling earlier, no, see, the preference of a candidate is depending upon the role for which we are going to hire him. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not any, if you ask anyone, say, whether you will prefer this or not, there is no such thing. If you have a person who has got the right quality, the background of it, he has the attributes to do the job. And normally experience is one area which we look at, and if the role doesn't demand any prior experience in that, Surely,
Okay, sir.
the candidate will be given a preference.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I'm Venkatesh.
Hi, Venkatesh.
Sir, I have one question, sir. In a company, if an employee continuously misbehavior with other employee, for example, is a company employee, he do some use some bad words with the contract employee. At the time, HR manager and legal person combine and plan to give showcase notice to that employee. At the time, company union members came and forced the HR to reduce the punishment in the showcase notice. At the time, what we can do?
Uh, a very good question, but you have any experience earlier, or from where this question came to you?
As I completed 2000 engineering in 2018. After that, I have worked in 1 year in Lear Corporation as a HR, sir.
Fine,
HR
fine.
training.
Okay, good, good. So I'll tell you what happens. Okay, so I have a lot of experience in industrial relations,
Okay,
where
sir.
I handle a lot of manufacturing. So normally, what happens, if you ask what an industrial relation is, it is nothing but the relationship between the employees, the trade union, and of course, government is a third party which come into that. Okay,
Okay,
and
sir.
if you ask about any successful person in this, the success of a person depends upon, see, what you are telling about is something called as, there are two things. First, I will explain to you, and I'll come to the question, to the answer will be at the very last. Okay, so there are two things. One is something we try to do proactively. So as I was trying to tell earlier, we look for a person who will fit the culture. Okay, so the culture, when you talk about any organization, it will have its own culture. So once we behave, any organization, what we do is that we try to bring the culture and we try to develop the culture, and say for example, uh, an industry where there are a lot of issues. So what normally companies do is that they try to bring in a culture where it is employees are participative culture, where employees and the unions are taking part in that. So when what happens is the problem, see why, if you look into the root cause of the thing, might be that contract workers would not have done the job, then supervisor have told something, and then it would have become an issue. So one thing normally what companies does is that they do a proactive step. So there are a lot of machineries like frequent meetings with the union would be where the production, all the department, like wherein required representatives from various departments come together, they sit and discuss with the union about day-to-day issues. So where the employees' issues are also addressed, and the employers, whatever they want, their demands are told. So normally such things are addressed proactively in a good company. If you ask about, now coming to the next step, like you said, like an employee has misbehaved with the supervisor, and he was given a show cause, and then the union came in. Here also, one thing that can be done proactively is that if an employee has misbehaved, management has all rights to take legal action against the person, and management should do that. Okay, but while doing this, if the management is able to explain to the unions in advance, showing their fairness from their side, like this is what is there, and also the firmness from their side, saying that these things are not acceptable and this will not be tolerated, and hence we are going for it. So if this is told in advance, normally what happens is such friction doesn't come. So what happens is that I have seen many companies where it's a ongoing process where you have employers and where you have the workers, and then it's more of a hierarchical thing where uh, there are too many workers and the trade unions are there. So normal frequent meetings actually help to avoid such situation. In the absence of this thing, of such meetings, what happens is that there comes the aggression, and that results in similar issues. So in such situation where the issue has already happened, and uh, again, as you said, the show cause was letter was given, the process actually doesn't end up in giving show cause. The process actually says that once an employee has done a misconduct, so as a HR, one thing what you should do is first is to find out, when you get a complaint, you should find out on the complaint. You should do some investigation on the complaint, like whether the complaint is genuine, who is on fault. So some sort of small inquiry, you should do it quickly, and then only you should get into the process of giving a show cause. And before giving a show cause, you should actually get a complaint from the respective manager or the supervisor or the person who is on what has happened. The complaint should be in detail, wherein it should explain about what has happened, when it has happened, which time, who are all the persons involved, and all these things. So once you get that, you give him a show cause letter. And what a show cause letter is? Show cause letter is a letter which says that I have given a complaint, I have got a complaint against you, and that complaint mentions these things. And if that complaint is true, so when we give a show cause letter, we are actually not making any judgment. We are not clear. Like what we are telling is that we have got a complaint. Please explain to me whether this is right or wrong. And if this is right, it will entitle you for this thing. So we give him an opportunity to explain his side. Okay. So that is again something called as law of natural justice, wherein every person is given an opportunity to explain his side. So once you get a reply from the person, you try to evaluate whether the reply was okay or not. In case a person has given a reply and you feel, the management feels that the reply is not satisfactory, the next step what is done is that the management goes further and initiate an inquiry into the process. That is called as domestic inquiry. So the domestic inquiry normally is done by a person who is inside the factory or from a person who is outside the factory, but the rule is that the person should be an independent person who should not be involved in this person, or who should not have a direct say in this. Once the inquiry is done, wherein both the parties are called together and there is a detail, both the parties are given chance to give their witnesses are cross-examined, and based on that, any evidence they have to produce, they produce it, and based on that, the inquiry officer gives a report. This report is a detailed report where he says, I have inquired such and such person on this complaint, I have seen, and it only talks about whether the complaint about a person is true or false, whether it is proved or not. So once that is proved, the process is that you have to give another show cause letter to a person, which is called as second show cause, wherein you mention that this is what is the complaint against the thing, and we are going to give you this and this punishment. And the person gives a reply, and then only this punishment is given. So you are like, this is the whole process. If you are legally, this is the process that should be followed. But you are explaining about a situation where this process was not followed. After a show cause letter, the union came, might be that you have taken some action and union has come there and requested for reducing the punishment. Yes, again, see, look into the intent. Okay, see, let's take a situation where the process was not followed and all this. Look into an intent. When union comes, you're not there to punish a person. Okay, if there is a wrong deed, we need to correct that. Fine. So the idea should be like, in such a situation where you are in a fix of this kind, what we should do is that we should try to find out, call the union and say, one is we should tell them, and during the discussion tell very clearly that yes, taking legal action, taking disciplinary action on a person is management's right, and that is not compromisable. But based on the request which union is telling, yes, we can reduce the punishment of a person, provided that the person gives an undertaking that yes, he will not. See, the idea is to correct a behavior. So where you should try to get sufficient, what you can say, declaration from a person or an assurance from the union saying that that will not happen. And then probably you can ask the person to say, he can go and ask sorry to the person with whom he has done it, respecting the human dignity, mutual respect. And it should be resolved in an amicable manner. I hope this clarifies your doubt.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, I'm Shishmita from first year MBA.
Good evening. Yeah.
First of all, very informative session, sir, and gained some new
Thank
stuff,
you.
sir. And my question is, whether the company's requirement perhaps change or just remain the same even after the lockdown, sir?
Company requirement changes on a daily basis. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Lockdown might have a bigger impact, but the requirement changes on daily basis. But on a broader level, the job descriptions, what I was mentioning about, probably you can see what is the job analysis. You can try to, like once the college is reopened, you go and find out what is the job analysis. Job analysis has two things. One is job description and second one is job specification. Wherein the description talks about what the job is there and the specification talks about the role holder, the qualification and all these things. So in a JD, it talks about we call it as job description is normally called as JD in short, wherein it is very clearly told like what all the routine jobs a person has to do on a day-to-day basis. It also talks about with whom he has to interact and what frequency and why. Fine. So this is a detailed thing where a person, suppose you get into that job and you go through in the job description in detail, you are very clear about your roles and responsibility, what you should do. So this job description more or less is constant, but it keeps on changing. In sense, it has to be reviewed on a regular frequency. Say once in a year we review it, and whatever alteration has to be done is done on a thing. But it is reviewed regularly. It's not on daily basis, but once in a year or once in 3 years, it is normally revised.
Okay, sir. Sir, and another question, general question, sir.
Carry on.
Sir, what is that one secret ingredient that you follow?
Sorry, there was some disturbance. Can you repeat the question?
Sir, one general question, sir. What is that one secret ingredient that you follow, which motivates you during your challenging times, sir?
One thing which, if you ask any challenging situation, is
Yes,
one is you should be fair from your side. You should be committed. These are the two things. One is you should always, like you, whichever field you are into that, you should be fairness. So I'm telling specifically because you are talking about the challenging situation. So
yes, sir.
if you are fair and firm on what you are doing, you should be clear on what your goal is. I think that will keep you moving. You should have a very clear goal.
Yes, sir.
Everyone should have like a very clear goal. What is it that you have to do? And then you work out on that. So your long-term goal should be very clear. Based on that, you should work out like to achieve that goal. What should I do in a short period of say another next 2 to 3 years? So if you are clear on that, it will keep you going.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Joseph, the next question is from Mr. Professor Kumaresan. Can you explain about what are the skill sets required to enter in HR field? Many people says that getting job in HR is most difficult one, and career growth is also not expected level.
So, like in HR, the skill set is one should be very, for any job, you should be agile, you should be able to change to the requirement on daily basis. You should know what the today industry is talking about. You should be a very good team player. You should be able to understand. You should be understand the team well. It should not happen like you should be flexible enough, because HR, if you talk about HR as such, if you're getting into the core HR, that's different. In the other part of HR, as someone was asking, is more of a industrial relation role where the role is you have to maintain the payroll, you have to do the discipline and another thing. So there you find a lot of challenges. So you need to be flexible there. You should, the other skill which is normally there in any books and all, I need not repeat. So one is you should be a good team player, you should understand the team, and you should have a very good networking skill. You should be able to connect with the team, whichever is in a very short duration. And you should act fast. These are the few things which is required to do the job. And no doubt, like HR, I have seen many people growing very quickly in this.
The next question is from Monica, second MBA. In this situation, is HR job for fresher possible? Practically, the situation is tough, so it needs experience to handle situation. I think so. What about freshers? So the basic question is like whether she is asking a fresher to get a HR job.
Monica, this is what I explained in the beginning also. Requirements will not come down. Okay, freshers, yes, as you said, could be there is a lockdown which has actually shifted the whole process. Could be it has delayed the whole process. As your college academic year also is getting delayed, it's getting extended. Similarly, in manufacturing industries also will have some sort of, as I was telling, there will not be any, there will be some sort of extension or some sort of delay in this. As I was telling, the companies will immediately look into filling the critical vacancies. So if there is a position which requires, which is a critical where we need to have a fresher, surely there will be vacancy. So like even might be that in an immediate thing it will not be there, but again, there are even now I am seeing many requirements coming up for freshers.
Sir, Professor Prakash is online, sir. You want some questions, sir? Prakash.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Sir, this is Professor Prakash. Sir, I'm taking care of human resources in Knowledge Business School.
Hi, sir. Nice to interact with you.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir. And your session is very, very useful and it's eye-opening, sir. And during the COVID time, it is really energizing for us.
Thank you, sir. Good.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And my question is related to an human resource. And as a post-COVID, what kind of people will survive and succeed in their careers? Sir? It might be an individual or an organization. What is your point of view, sir?
Sir, I have mentioned this in the presentation. There are two things. One is called as agility. The other one is resilience. Yes. So resilience is a quality where you are able to come up as quickly as possible from any sort of setback.
Okay.
Agility is how you react to changes. So these are the two qualities which is required for not just HR alone, any area, any sector. So post-COVID, if you see how quickly, like there are setbacks. So there could be two type of persons. One is a person who says, I have a setback and probably is stuck into that. And the other set of persons who take it as an opportunity. So I was just giving a same applies to organization also. So I'll just give you, I was giving example of our industry. So we have, like, while there was a total lockdown, many units were not operating. So we went to the district administration, we have sought permission to dispatch the operation and we are running our units. So while this is one of the things to continue the present operation, one of the unit in our Gujarat, where we used to, there is a unit in Gujarat, in Pune, where we used to manufacturing the hair oil. So there we immediately changed that into manufacturing of hand sanitizer. So we have started the production and it has gone into the market. So during this lockdown, immediately, like, we have actually worked out on 8 to 10 new products, of which one is launched, others are in process. In another few days that we're launching. So while one side industries, there are some industries who are saying, yes, lockdown is there, everything, there was a big setback. We have taken this as an opportunity, brought in innovation, new product was launched in a short duration. Now we are actually doing an idea jam, wherein we are trying to take ideas from all the members. In fact, there are good rewards also for the members who are giving and we are trying to take inputs from all the members and trying to work out like what can be done better in this. So any new ideas with regard to new business, with the new new initiatives, with a new change way of working. Uh, Again, cost reduction, all that is being worked out. So while if you see immediately after the lockdown, within 2 days, we started having daily review meetings. We started connecting with everyone. Our team, we have Microsoft Teams. Everyone installed Teams, and we are connecting with everyone almost on a daily basis. And during this time, we take sessions, training sessions, almost there are 1 or 2 sessions on a daily basis, where we took this opportunity to build up the capability. We took this opportunity to work out on whatever was the pending things. We have done a lot of new brainstorming session happened on how to work out on the cost factor of it. There was, in fact, as I was telling, new product development happened, innovation happened. So these things are called as agility. And as I said, agility and resilience, these are the two qualities which is required to come back, whether it is an individual or an organization. Sir, I hope this answers your query.
Joseph, I think this is the final question. I don't see any other new charts in the chat box. Sir, if possible, is there any chance to recruit MBA fresher directly as a trainer for a training and development team?
Can you be a bit audible?
Yeah, Joseph. So I think this would be the last question. I don't see any other questions in chat box. Yeah, student from first MBA has asked a question related to training and development. He's asking, he's saying that he is very much interested in training and development and he wanted to be a trainer. So he is asking whether companies recruit a fresher as a trainer directly.
See, it all depends upon what skill he has. See, trainer is the person who gives training to another person, isn't it? So it depends upon what skill you have, what are the specialization that you are bringing in. So it all depends. Like if you ask, we have in our company some management trainees who have come, and in a year's time they have started taking up a role in our training, learning and development team. So possibilities, if you ask, yes, it is there, but it comes with the expertise domain that you are bringing.
Sir, I'm checking that. I have one question, sir, because on
Yes,
behalf
sir.
of students.
Yes, sir.
So, what will be the right reason students are moving from one company to the other company? Because many of them are moving from one company to another company without getting the proper skills or mindset, what do you call the presence in that particular company. They are moving only because of the salary and also that what do you call the location. So, what should be the right reason the person should move from one company to another company?
See, sir, if you ask me, like why a person moves from one company to another company is normally because of the unfit. If you ask me, the culture unfitness in terms of the culture, or the person is not the right fit for the job he is doing. So a person, if you see, in Marico, the attrition is very less. One of the reason is that people like the culture here. When they come here, there are many cases of homecoming where people go back and immediately. There were cases where a person left Marico and in a week's time he came back saying that, sir, I want to come back. Is there any possibility? The reason is the person did not like the culture there. So the reason why a person leaves an organization is that he's not the right fit for the position. So as I was telling in the beginning, there is a role, and what we try to look into in hiring process is that whether the role matches the person. So whether the person is right fit for that role. If the person is not a right fit for the role, probably it is difficult for him to, because he also will not enjoy the job, and he will try to look to move out of it. And that is the prime reason why persons leave the organization.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So good evening, sir. This is Mukesh Sundar.
Yeah, good evening. Be
So I
a
think,
bit audible, eh?
is there, sir? Can I, so now audible, sir?
Yeah.
So I think I'm the person just now asked the question related to training and development team.
Yeah.
I think, sir, I'm not saying that I'm not told myself that I'm having more skills in training field that I'm having 2 years experience in. So I'm sorry, I'm having three months experience in training field. Though I'm having 2 years experience. Because before joining MBA, I worked 2 years in logistics and operations field. Both were in two more companies. One is shipping and management, and another one is supply chain solutions. TVS supply chain solutions. In TVS only, I worked as a trainer. That is why I'm asking that is there any chance for company to recruit directly MBA fresher as a trainer? Yes, I think I'm having such.
No. See, then the question what you asked there itself is not correct. In sense, you're not a fresher then.
Okay, sir.
From the profile what you're telling, you already have worked and you have some experience with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are fresher after completing the MBA, but prior to that, you have some logistic experience.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hence,
sir.
based on that industrial experience, you are surely employable and you can take up a role.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Surely that is all possible. So, and like with a background, like see why persons are looking for an experience is that a person should know what the job is. And if you know what the job is and you have already worked in that, you can always be a trainer in logistics.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So the reason why I asked is I'm quite good at life skills and soft skills. So is there any chance to work as a trainer in a industry to teach people life skill?
Very much, yeah, very much. So there are normally what happens is companies don't take a trainer only for soft this skills. So
Okay,
normally
sir.
it is either the HR persons in the team they take up the role, or earlier we used to have like on the resource persons we used to call it from outside. So we used to hire consultants to do various sort of trainings and all. So based on whatever intervention is required.
There are some
Hello, sir.
hand raising faculties.
Sir, hello, sir. This is Prabhu Shankar from second year MBA.
Hello, Prabhu.
Sir, first of all, how are you, sir?
Fine.
Sir, I have heard that in some companies there is a post called Chief Happiness Officer or Chief Fun Officer. Do Marico have such a post? Or how according to you, do you think that it's a very important post? How an employee should be entertained in an organization to
Yeah,
avoid
so
stress?
probably good question. So what you can do is that you can check with your team members who have come and visited Marico. So while we call these are the terminologies, but of course, no doubt, happiness, engagement, these are some of the parameters which we track on regular basis. Especially during this COVID time, we do weekly surveys on happiness and the engagement level of the members. And that's a part and parcel of our normal routine job. So it's there built in our normal routine job. Hello, hope this answers your question, or you are still.
No, sir. I think we unmuted the person, sir. I think he reached the answer. The answer is reached to the person.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir, myself Navina Muralidharan, first MBA, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I first thank you for the session, sir, where we students are in lot of confusions about our future career. I really thank you, sir.
Welcome, most welcome.
Sir, today in software companies, artificial intelligence plays a major role, right, sir?
Yeah.
I read one article, sir, that in future robot is going to act in the position of HR. at that time whether the HR role and requirement for HR will get affected?
I don't think it is going to affect it, but what happens is that it throws a lot of challenges. You need to be more educated. You should be well versed in what is a new development in the industry, and you should always be up to the mark. That's what is the requirement. But artificial intelligence comes is actually making the life easy. For example, like artificial intelligence is normally used to do some of the monotonous job or various things which we do it, and it actually helps us. It doesn't reduces the job. So artificial intelligence in IT or any other sector will try to ease out the job, but uh, I don't think the role of HR will come to an end with coming of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well,
So this is the final
Hello,
question.
sir. Hello, sir.
hello.
Say again, Venkatesh. Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
Venkatesh. Yes, Venkatesh, we can hear
yeah.
you. Please post your question.
Sir, if I want to strengthen my statutory complaints knowledge, how can I strengthen that, sir?
One is knowledge can be gained by reading books. Okay, so
Yes,
various journals and all. So there are labor law books. Once you complete all that, the next part comes is when you come to an industry after all this, because there are, if you see, there are different labor laws now. In fact, government is trying to consolidate all these labor laws and try to bring into 4 buckets. So the new wage code has come and all. So you read all that. So a lot of stuff is available in internet and other domain. You can read that and get the sufficient knowledge about it. Once you come to an industry, you will have to then try to correlate what you have read with what is happening. Say, for example, the law says that you have to maintain these registers. So what you have to do is that once you have that knowledge, you try to correlate that with the practical thing. Practically, you need to correlate that with the real life, how it is maintained. So the knowledge, when it is put into practice, becomes skill, where you will acquire the skill of compliance. In sense, you can become an expert in compliance. Let it be any compliance, labor law compliance or any other compliance.
okay, sir.
Hope this answers your.
So is there is any special book for developing knowledge in statutory complaints, sir?
See, if you ask, there are labor law books. I think it should be available in your library, or normally companies have books, so you can read that. Apart from that, labor law journal, labor law, there are a lot of journals like labor law reporter, labor law journals are there. If you find in net, there are a lot of Qanun, and there are other sites wherein which gives regular updates on this. So once you download that, probably I would, if you are so interested, you can get in touch with Mani. He will share with you the gist of some of the acts, which you can keep it with you for your reference. Mani, you can circulate, eh?
Yeah, sure, Joseph. I
So
can.
we will circulate to you what are the various law which is there and what are the main provisions in the law. So that will help you out to update your knowledge, and further to keep you updated and with the latest thing. You need to read the either the books, journals, or you can find the stuff in net, which is an easy thing for you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Joseph, I think that's all with the questions in chats, and might be people, students or professors, if they have any questions directly, they can post, or we can close the session.
I think we can
Any questions? Final questions? You can post.
Or
Any
even
final question?
I am ready to take any questions later also. If there is thing we can post this.
Okay.
We are ready to answer.
Okay. Okay. No questions. Shall we close?
Yes,
I think it is done.
Okay. Okay. Sir, thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful session, Joseph Peter, sir. Really awakened session. You have awakened the spirit of all the students. They got learnings from various aspects of HRs, how they have to be prepared in their life to face the post-COVID consequences, how they need to be equipped. You spoke about labor laws, you spoke about automation, digitalization, HR equipment. Tell about yourself. Lot many questions students have posted you, and you have elaborated very, very. Thanks to you, sir. Even in
Thank you. I'm
such a
also
busy.
pleased to have such an energetic team. It was really the students, their questions, whatever their level of questions they were asking were from different angles, and the energy level, the even the commitment of the student, like even at this point of time, they are
Thank you, sir.
connected over shows the how good the students are. So I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you and to give my best wishes for all the students, of course, to your institution and the students to have
Thank you,
a
sir.
better career. So on my behalf and on behalf of Maniratnam and
Thank you,
my
sir.
organization,
We also
I
wish
you all the best.
Hello, sir. Also,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
We also wish that you should come to the campus in person, sir, later. After everything
surely.
settles down,
We will.
and after lockout is released, we request you to drop into KBSS to have an interaction and to feel the visit of the place of a KBSS, sir.
Surely, sir. We will plan it out.
Future, sir. And also, I thank you. In such a busy situation, you have answered the questions of the students. You have really acquainted with this, sir. Thank you, Lord, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, students. So I'll sign off, sir.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manico, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Jagan, as well as Director Stephen sir and Koteshwaran for organizing this really good, wonderful session. And thank you, Joseph, for taking up our request and doing this session and honoring our session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mani, for the support. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Take care, please. Bye.
Thank you,
sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, students. Thank you, faculty. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Shall I end meet, sir?
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
voice is breaking, pa. It's not audible.
Sir, Koteshwaran முடிச்சலாமான்னு கேக்குறேன் சார். எண்ட் பண்ணிடலாமா?
Voice is breaking, pa.
Sir, shall I end?
Sir, Koteshwaran sir session over பண்ணிடலாமான்னு கேக்குறாங்க சார். கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ணிடலாமான்னு கேக்குறாங்க. Koteshwaran sir. Hello?
Session end பண்ணிடலாமாங்க சார்?
Voice is breaking, pa. I'm not able to hear.
Session end பண்ணிடலாமாங்க சார்? Please, sir.
Okay, pa. You can close the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
You can close the session, pa.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you can close.